The nation's new unemployment claims went down slightly. They're over 700,000. Californians' numbers went up slightly. We're at 152,000 new claims this past week. I think what's striking is that, again, we're 11% of the nation's civilian labor force. This morning, we had over 21% of the new unemployment claims. So the number of new unemployment claims in California continues to run well above the numbers in other states. Of course, that was a big positive news for the economy and the society in general in terms of the vaccine. In some ways, though, it pushes back employment projections here in California. What we heard, at least initially, is that the vaccine will be available in December, but won't be widely available until April. And if that's the case, there is projections that we might see the vaccine and an increase in hiring in the first quarter. Now it looks like the delays in hiring, the vaccine implementation may not be to the second quarter or the end of the second quarter. So in some ways, the very positive news of the vaccine is also balanced by the timeline they gave us, which suggests that it may not be until next April or so that it's more widely available. In some ways, it was positive, but I looked and I thought, hey, wait, we've been talking about, hopefully getting this restarted in January in a big way. Now it looks like it may not be until April, May, or even June. The very high number of new unemployment claims this morning is sobering itself, but what's even more sobering is the fact that we're now imposing new lockdowns, going backwards in some ways. And, this may be the necessary trade-off, but I think it's important to recognize in a way that the public health system hasn't recognized the enormous trade-offs of our ongoing policies. And the lockdowns are only going to continue to inhibit hiring, and even more so, inhibit the return of small business, the rebuilding of our completely decimated small business system in California. We also brought numbers concerning small business revenues in California and small business reopenings in California. Both continue to be completely flat since August. That is to say that since August, we've seen no significant impact in terms of increasing small business reopenings in our state or increasing small business revenues. Very interesting, the numbers we've seen today in terms of pandemic unemployment assistance. That's the system aimed at independent contractors. Throughout August and September, we had numbers over 200,000 new pandemic unemployment assistance claims per week. The last couple weeks, they've been down to 25,000, 30,000 as they are today. What it shows is the enormous extent of fraud in that pandemic unemployment assistance program. And that's something we're going to have to look at going forward. California this week has now borrowed over $15 billion since the start of the pandemic, $15 billion from the federal government. That compares with basically around $10.8 billion that we borrowed during the Great Recession, but we're now over $15 billion, the UI funded deficit. The good news for UI claimants is that it won't impact them. They'll continue to see their payments made, but it means that California has this enormous deficit in the unemployment insurance fund, and we'll have to make it up in some way. In the past, it's been made up through surcharges on employers, and that's probably the last thing we need at this point.